So now there is something that I would want to discuss, that is called as your services. So what exactly is services? So as soon as this system boots up, whether it is your Windows or whether it is your Linux or any other operating system, as soon as the system boots up, there are a certain files that or programs or services that start with the boot up. When I say start, that means they run in the background, right? So these services needs to be configured somewhere. Now, where are these configured? So we'll see about that and how do we configure them, right? So if I open up the file system present right here, so on the desktop you'll have file system. If you don't have that, so even from the folder, if you open up a folder, let's say any particular folder, let's say I'll do this open folder, and then you can select file system. It is going to give the same thing, right? So in the etc folder, if you take a look, there are a lot of directories, but there is something called as services. So where are these services? So see, if you take a look at this particular file, then it will give you some information where the network services are present or such things, right? And another thing which you want to always keep in mind is if you want to check how your system is connected or to what systems is your computer connected, then you can always type netstat. So using this command, so okay, let me talk about netstat first and then we'll talk about others. Let me just, yeah. This looks better. So let me first talk about the netstat command and then come back to the services. So there is this one command netstat which talks about any active connections or services that are running and are connected from your PC to the internet. So let's say whenever you run this command netstat, this is really important. The reason this is important is let's say once you are hacking something, okay, let's say you're hacking a machine, and if the user, the victim, whoever's machine you have hacked or whoever server they have hacked, you have hacked, runs this command netstat, they'll get a list of all the active connections and what services are they running using this particular command, right? So you see that, let's say uh, this particular service, that is std out service, is connected on port 7428. So if I just go back to the top, it would say what protocol it is using, what is the count there, and then any flags if there are any, what kind of output it is giving. So generally you will see a stream output and then state whether it is connected or disconnected. And this will be the port number for you, and then the path where the particular file is running, right? So if you take a look, these are all the services that are currently running. Now, if I talk about Windows machine, so this is in a Linux based machine. If I talk about Windows machine, if I just click Task Manager and let me just bring it here. Again, in Windows as well, you can use netstat, but you can always go through the Task Manager. In the Task Manager, if I click on services, then it will show what the services are actually running. If I just click on status here, then it will give me all the services that are currently running, right? So similarly, if I go to the processes, I can see what processes are running and what kind of services are it using. Okay, so using the netstat command, you can do that. Okay, let me come back to the etc folder, right? So this command is really important to understand. Again, netstat is for getting all the services that are running. So like I did mention, all the services that are running would be running from the etc folder. So now in etc, there should be a place from where all of these are running, right? So there is this folder called systemd. So I have opened the etc folder here, like I just mentioned, and then there is this folder systemd. If you open up this, now there is this folder where there are number of configuration files. If I just open whether network, if it is a network related service, it would be present in the folder network. So if I open up this, there are some services that are configured here. If I open up the system folder, there are some services. All these are default services that are running, and again it is present in the system folder. Now there is something that is called as a user service, and all such services would be present here. The question would arise that what kind of services are these and why should these be running? For example, I tell you today that I want to run a HTTP server on my machine, whether it is an Ubuntu machine or it is a Windows machine or whatever machine, right? So that is a service that I am giving from my server to the client machine. Now again, I need this Windows server or this Apache server or whatever kind of server, www server, to run when the system boots up. So I'm just going to create a file, apache.service or http.service. That is what it is generally called or labeled. So http.service would say that as soon as the system boots up, go to this particular location, fetch this particular software and make it running. So this is nothing but a system service that would run as soon as you boot up your system. Now let's give you a practical here, right? So I'll open my Firefox. I'll just say 120.0.0.1. Okay. If you don't know what this is or why I'm writing 127.0.0.1, don't worry about it. So we'll learn about this in the coming days when I talk to you about the networking basics, whether it would me or somebody, but whoever it is, they would teach you about the networking basics and then this would be comfortable, right? If somebody who already knows this, then this is nothing but your loopback IP address. That means this is the IP address of your own machine where it is communicating with your hardware. So if I just hit http://127.0.0.1 and hit on enter, you see it will say unable to connect. Now the same thing if I do it on localhost, then it would not connect, whether it is HTTPS that runs on port 443 or HTTP that would run on port 8. Now what if I want to run a HTTP server? So there are multiple ways to do it. Like I said, you can run an Apache server, you can run a Tomcat server, something like that. But if you don't want to do none of them, then let's do something like this. So I'll open up the home folder. I'll be in Kali. Please take a look at all of these files and folders present in this particular directory. And then I'm going to open a terminal here. Now I'm going to give a simple command that would say python 3 -hem http.server, and then I will give a space, say 80. So this is nothing but using Python. Now why did I say Python 3? Because there are different versions of Python, right? So I'm using Python 3 point whatever is installed on your Kali Linux or any Linux operating system. Python installation is by default. It would have either Python 3.10 or 3.11 based on whatever you have installed. But this is what it is, right? So Python 3 -m, this is a module. When you say Python 3 -m, that is Python 3 module. And then I'm saying http.server, this is the name of the module, right? So Python 3 -m http.server, and I said port number 80. So that means on port 80, a HTTP server is running that will have the contents of this Kali directory. So if I just click on this, you see, okay, there is a small mistake here. It added a bracket there. If I just remove that and hit on enter, then you see I can see all the contents of the Kali directory. Remember yesterday I showed you using the command ls-la, then it would show anything that had dot files. So all of that is present. Apart from that, anything that was present in my Kali directory, it is running as a HTTP server. Now I have used 0.0.0 here. Remember I used HTTP colon 127.0.0.1. Let's try with the HTTP now. So see, this is working. The same thing if I do with localhost, it would still work and it would now give me the HTTP server running on port 80. So this is nothing but a service. Now if you want to make this as a permanent one, you would create a service file and then give this command in the service file saying that, okay, as soon as this service is started, you need to run a HTTP server on port 80 then that means it would act like a web server. That is what we are seeing here right now. Now all these contents, like I did mention, these are the contents of the Kali directory. You can see I'm in Kali directory here. So if you have any questions, let me show you something. So I am again in the Kali directory. I'll do ls-la. I showed you this command yesterday. This was to list out any files that are present in this directory. And then you can compare that all of this content is exactly whatever is present right in front of you here, right? So this is how it would work.